Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lisa Johnson. I'm a certified life coach. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm here for the 50-year-old and over crowd, those who think their time has passed. Your time has not passed. I am here for those that are procrastinators. You guys know who you are. You overthink, you overanalyze, you put things off, and then you get frustrated and you don't know where to start. I'm here for you, and I'm most definitely here for those that are ready to walk into your calling and your purpose. You just need that push, that motivation, executing a plan. I'm here to help. But today I want to talk about stop allowing your family and your friends to stop you. Stop looking for their approval. Stop looking for their approval. In some cases, and this is what I call sobering facts. Sobering facts is a terminology that I made up. Um, if you've been in a drunken stupor, meaning you're just in such denial. Sometimes you have family members who don't love you, yet alone like you, and you have family and friends that are jealous of you. And you have to accept that. So if God has called you to do something, or if there's something that He has for you, so this is twofold. So if there's something that He's called you to do, or if there's something that He has for you. So for example, if He's called you to, be a leader, to start your own business, start your own YouTube channel, or say if He has a home for you, and you have to consult your family and friends, and you know that they don't care about you. I recall a time, years ago, I had a good friend and she wanted to buy a home. She had a plan. She had saved. She got a promotion on her job. She worked really hard. She lived at the time for many years like in a broke down apartment. It was cheap because she was saving. She was working towards a goal. And she figured, she had saved up enough money and she was like ready and she was looking for homes. And she had a teenage daughter. I think the child was like 16 at the time. So she went and she shared with her daughter, like, I found a home. We're going to get out of this apartment. And she shared with her daughter how, Mama has always lived in an apartment growing up. Her mom was a single mom. So she said, we've always lived in an apartment. I've always wanted a home. So she shared her heart with her daughter. You know what her daughter told her after she shared something with her? And we're going to get to this. Her daughter was like, Mom, we're good in this apartment. So when she came back and she talked to me, I felt this hesitation. I felt like, a different type of mood. And so I often say your gifts, your talents rather. I was always a life coach, just didn't realize that's what it was at the time. So years ago I had this talent where I knew how to ask the right questions to get an answer. So I started asking her these questions, and she was rattling off. But then when I got to a question about, I can't remember specifically what I asked her, but we got to the bottom of where she finally said, I give my daughter this huge allowance. And when she told me this amount, it was astronomical. This child was 16 years old. She did not need that much money. But because she was a single mom and she wasn't getting child support, she was overcompensating. So it wasn't self-serving for her daughter. So she was able to talk her mom out of moving into the home. So her mom literally did not, she stopped looking. She continued to stay, in that apartment. She and I lost contact, so I don't know if she got the home. I'm sure maybe when the child, went off to college, she was able to do so or something. I don't know. But you get my point. Be careful who you ask um, um, approval or who you tell these things to. So if you've been following my channel long enough, I got to take it to the scriptures because it's not my opinion. It's all about facts. So I'm going to talk about a few people who, people that they should not ask, family members and friends, and then those that they should. So remember, I think I talked about, I can't remember which video. Family, we have no say-so in the matter. It's just what we were born into. So that doesn't give anyone a right to love you because they're your brother, they're your sister, or what have you. They're just blood. Sometimes God will give you family and friends that are closer than blood. And so this is what happened in a couple of the stories that I found. Remember, the Bible, they are real people. So learn how to apply this to your life. I'm going to look away from the camera because I'm going to quote a few scriptures because I don't like to misquote anything. And I want you to go back and read it. So if you're struggling with having to always go back to family and friends for approval before you step out and do something, then you may want to rethink this, okay? So in my book, A New You, I also mentioned that it has an e-course. So go to LisaJohnsonLifeCoach.com. It's all one word, LisaJohnsonLifeCoach.com if you need some sobering facts. Okay, so let me tell you one of the greats, and I did want to mention the late great Dr. Maya Angelou, the poet. She said, when people show you themselves, believe them. So come out of denial. We're coming out of denial today, folks. So in 1 Samuel chapter 17, um, David and Goliath. David's father told him to go and take some food and water to his brothers and to the armies. They were about to fight, the Philistines. So David goes out there, and his brother, remember, this is his blood brother, says, "Why have you come down here? And who have you left your, quote, few sheep in the wilderness with? Check out the shade." Woo, what shade? He was so jealous of David. And David responded to him, "What have I done now?" When someone says, "What have I done now?" that lets you know that his brother had picked with him for a long time and tried to bully him. David was like, "What have I done there? Is there not a cause?" So David says, "I'm here to fight. I brought you this water." But then when he saw how they were all afraid, David was like, "I'll fight him. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine?" So a lot of times if your family can peep that you're courageous and that you're not afraid, they become jealous, especially if they are. Especially if they are afraid. Okay? And so in Samuel 1 Samuel chapter 19 verse 1, David has a mentor, Saul. So after David wins the battle, he killed Goliath. He even took Goliath's own sword and cut off his head. Okay. So Saul, he's like, loving David. But then when the women started praising David over Saul, Saul got jealous. This is his mentor. So this is even sometimes your mentor will get jealous of you. If people start praising you more than them. So if you're struggling with that, if you've I know I can tell so-and-so, but you kind of sense that they have become jealous of you, you may want to rethink that. So listen to this story in 1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 1. And so Saul tries to kill him. He actually had a javelin in his hand, and he said to himself, "I'm going to pin David to the wall," meaning I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to kill David. So David was able to, to run and, the javelin missed him. And David was like, "What have I done?" So David and had a best friend, Jonathan. Jonathan was actually Saul's son. Saul actually goes to Jonathan, his son, and the servants and said, "You guys need to kill David." Now, this is what being a good friend is, and how I was sharing with sometimes your good friends are closer to you than even blood. That's who Jonathan was to David. Jonathan went to David and he says, "Look," and I'm paraphrasing, he's like, "Look, man, my daddy, he's trying to kill you. You got to get out of here." And then Jonathan said to Saul, his dad, "What has David done? He hasn't sinned against you, so why are you trying to sin against him?" So your friends aren't double-tongued. He didn't say one thing to his father and then say a different thing to David. He was straight up with both of them. That's a good friend. So again, sometimes friends are closer than blood. And then in chapter 20, verse 4, in that same 1 Samuel, they met up, David and Saul met up, and David and Jonathan rather met up, and Jonathan said to David, And I'm paraphrasing. He said, tell me what you want to do and I'll help you. That's a good friend. So that's someone that you want to seek advice from. So don't get caught up in, oh, me and my best friend, we were best friends for 20 years, but you've noticed some jealousy, some double tongue. They may say one thing to one friend about you, but a different thing to another friend about you. Is there somebody that you want to ask, should I do this thing that God has called me to do? Or, should I step out and buy this or what have you, when you know that they don't mean you any good? So don't get caught up in even years of friendship. Some people feel like they've invested so much time into a relationship. You got to let that go. And then we want to go to the book of Esther. Esther has her own book, and this is in chapter 4, verse 14. Now, this is a good relative. Her uncle Mordecai, he actually raised Esther. So Esther now makes it to the palace. She's in the palace with the king, and looking good. She has the crown on her head. She's smelling good. The king loves her. But come to find out, they wanted to kill all Jews. Esther was a Jew. Mordecai says to Esther, and at that time, Esther hadn't revealed to the king that she was a Jew because people hated the Jews. But Mordecai says to Esther, it's time for you to let them know because they're trying to kill our people. And he says, and who knows that you've come to the palace for such a time as this? Who knows that you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Read that. That's in Esther 4, verse 14. And Esther's like, oh no, she made these excuses. No one can go to see the king unless they hold out the scapular and all that. And he says, if you keep silent, and this is what a good relative will say. They'll tell you the truth. I had someone tell me years ago, Lisa, I love you enough to tell you the truth. So he told her the truth. He says, now, you can keep silent, Esther, if you want to. But who knows whether you've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. But if you don't say anything, if you remain silent, let's not get this thing twisted. God would just raise up somebody else. He'll raise up another Jew to do this. But in another video that I had mentioned, but say if you're the chosen one. Nobody can do it like you. Sure, God can use someone else to do it. But let's say you were the chosen one. You were the one that he raised up to do this thing. So Esther goes on there and she realizes, hey, I'm not here just to look cute. She goes in and she tells the king, and the king grants her favor. And she saved her people. So if you've been given a position, know that it's bigger than you, or if God has called you to do something, always remember that it's bigger than you. You're never in a place of authority, a place of position, just to look cute and walk around. It's to help someone. So if you've been called, you really sense this thing, like you've been called to save your generation or speak life to your generation, something that maybe you're supposed to start a business to help get, the youth off the street, or to help, women who have, have gone through some things. It's always bigger than you when you've been given a platform. So never use it for yourself. I just had to get that little side. I felt led to say that. But stop looking for people's approval when they mean you no good. Even if they're relatives, okay? So keep it moving. Walk in your purpose. Again, LisaJohnsonLifeCoach.com. I talk more about this in my book. I have some e-courses that talk about people. You need to get that e-course. Take that e-course, people. If you're really struggling with, trying to get approval from family and friends or mentors or people of that nature. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share. Don't forget to like. And I will see you on the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.